Hey guys, it's Jordan here from SwitchWatch. How are you all doing today? Now, today's review is of Hello Neighbor on the Nintendo Switch. Thanks to TinyBuild, as always, for providing this review copy so I can tell you guys if it's worth your hard-earned cash or not. Without further ado, let's just get on with it. Hello Neighbor has been somewhat of a hyped indie game, especially with its initial PC release late last year. Mixing stealth and horror with an almost cartoony art style, it's definitely struck a chord with a certain set of gamers, almost to a smaller extent of what Five Nights at Freddy's did. I mean, if the iPhone version has over 1 million pre-orders, then there must be some hype surrounding it. The story of Hello Neighbor is fairly simple. It begins as a young kid playing with his ball witnesses a suspected kidnapping or murder in the home of the titular neighbor. Eager to find out just what on earth is going on, he decides to investigate by sneaking into the neighbor's home to find evidence. Over the course of the acts, time passes by too. By the third act, the child is now an adult, still suffering the trauma of what he witnessed. The story tries to tell it in a fairly dramatic way, with the time shifts and showing how this experience has affected the main character and how it still haunts him to this day. I would say it's a little vague at times, trying to be surreal and up to the player's interpretation. Is it a dream? Is some of it a dream? I don't think it needed to be that vague. Still, it's an interesting effort and I was always wanting to see what would happen next. The game is split up into acts of increasing scope. It begins fairly simply as the neighbor lives in a small airy house. But over the course of the game it builds into something huge, almost like a theme park attraction to ridiculous and fantastical levels. Each act is kind of its own giant puzzle. You're not really instructed of the goals until you're charging yourself and find out what sort of things need to be done. You'll find lots of locked doors that need keys, electrical switches, valves and the sort. It sounds simple, but actually it's fairly obtuse stuff. You could be wandering around for ages looking for what you need to do. I'm not gonna lie, this is a game you're probably going to need a guide for because the solutions are borderline nonsensical. I get what they were trying to do, but from a design point of view, nothing makes sense for the player. There are no aha moments of realization when figuring something out. It's far too random for that. I used a guide and I'm not ashamed of saying that because I would still be stuck on the second act wandering around the compound going crazy. It's good for games to test your brain once in a while, but Hello Neighbor just tests your patience more than anything. The AI of the neighbor is supposed to learn from you, adjusting his tactics to your actions. If he spots you going through one place, the next time you try to go there you may find it guarded by a security camera or a bear trap. Again, it just seems fairly random and limited. It's far less dynamic than you would be led to believe. Indeed, if you don't like this aspect, you can switch it off in the menus. Inventory items are kept to the D-pad inputs, therefore you're only allowed to pick up 4 items at a time. There's no weight management or anything like that, which seems a little silly that you can't carry 5 keys, but you have no problem popping 4 heavy-duty tools in your pockets. That's not a complaint, by the way, it's just a gaming mechanic. I just find it kind of funny. Items play a huge part in the game, not just in the form of keys or tools, but every household object can be picked up and thrown. This can be used to defend yourself from the charging neighbor, or smash windows if you want to climb through them. The controls are very iffy, without even talking about the slippery, sliding nature of the movement. Just trying to get your tiny dot crosshair over the items can be a pain, and the seemingly interchangeable use of pick up and use buttons often leave you flailing and performing the wrong action. For me, the controls are just too unwieldy. As a horror game, it begs the question, is it scary? In all honesty, no. Maybe the initial chase will get you bouncing off your chair, but once you realize how robotic the neighbor is, the scariness instantly goes away. When you watch from a distance as he walks between 2 spots doing the same action, when he instantly sees you even if you're hiding, the lack of any sort of varied behavior makes him a very computer-like stalker. The fact that you're getting caught leaves very little consequences too, as you just end up back at the beginning with all your items and everything previously done, like opening doors and such, still done. Apart from windows. They always fix the windows for some reason. they've gone for an exaggerated cartoon style, like something from a twisted Pixar movie. It's certainly taken a massive hit from the PC version and is more in line with the mobile version from what I can tell. It's honestly very poor looking in my opinion, with flat textures, no lighting or shadows. It's just very bland and jaggy. The PC version isn't exactly a looker either, and if Panic Button can get Doom and Wolfenstein 2 running so beautifully on the Switch, I don't see why Hello Neighbor couldn't either. It's bright and plasticky looking. The lack of dark menacing shadows does take a lot of creepiness away from the game, which is a shame. Now, the original PC version was packed with bugs, performance issues, and an unforgivable lack of polish. In my time with the Nintendo Switch version, I did notice a few instances of glitchy gameplay. Sometimes I'd end up flying in one direction across the screen for no apparent reason. Items would glitch through walls, and don't even get me started on the item-to-item collisions. It did run fairly smoothly though in both docked and handheld mode. I didn't notice any particularly bad frame drops, so that is a plus point. The audio is decent if a little out of the way. In fact, I barely noticed it. There's a lot of silence to take in while exploring the timelines of the neighbor's home, but you'll often get the tension music when he sees you. It's alright, but didn't ramp up the atmosphere like it should. It was on the weak side and not very noticeable. For value, well, Hello Neighbor is coming in at a heavy $39.99 and £35.99. Now that is an ambitious price, and for that it's not actually a long game, probably less than 10 hours depending on how much you get stuck. Obviously there are games shorter than this with a higher price like Kirby Star Allies, but Hello Neighbor also lacks the budget of those bigger titles. You can tell it's an indie game at heart, with one key concept that it holds onto for dear life. I admire the publisher for believing it is worthy of the price, but if I had paid for this myself, I would definitely have been disappointed with the quality of it all. It's not worth it all day long. A more grounded price of probably like £15 could have swayed me to saying it's decent value, but it just doesn't have that polish or quality for the high price. Overall, Hello Neighbor is a fantastic concept. It's a concept that is still raw in the oven. It has smatterings of genius that in the right hands with a bigger team, budget and time could have been fantastic. Instead, we have something giving false promises and just a wholly disappointing time. It does provide a bit of tension and challenge, but the nonsensical game design of the puzzles and goals just make it very average at best. The fact that the price is incredibly above what it should be takes it down even further. They had the right idea, but they lost their way of the original focus, I'm sure. Even though it's not a good game, in fact it's borderline below average, it's still done very well for the developer and publisher, so hopefully the inevitable sequel can find that one thing it is missing and make it an actual decent game. But this one, Hello Neighbor, is a 4.5 out of 10. The gameplay is average, but the price just sends it down even further. Okay guys, I hope you've enjoyed this review of Hello Neighbor for the Nintendo Switch. What do you guys think? Am I being overly harsh with it? Did you enjoy playing this one on the PC? Leave a comment below. If you're a regular Switch watcher, then leave a like too and share the video if possible. If you're new here, then we would love it if you hit that subscribe and bell button to keep up to date with all our Switch coverage, reviews, gameplays and features. And finally, head over to the website switchwatch.co.uk. It's well worth a daily look. I've been Jordan from SwitchWatch, and I will see you guys next time. Take care.